Emily said she was going to move. She didn't want to be seen sitting next to some guy that with his like crotch shot manhood showing in a selfie. But actually, it was the only way was getting this thing to work. And then I thought, what the heck? I'm not a bad looking guy after all. But but anyway, this is tobacco seed gathering time, right? And this is the old Cheech and Chong method of cleaning your seeds out. Remember that? You ever been to a Cheech and Chong concert? Look one up. Okay, so those seeds, they come like a million, or oh God, I don't know, a million in a baggie like that, but a million's a lot. And they start out coming off the plant, and I'll just let them get brown on the plant. I don't bother to let them get like totally old where they're opening up and throwing their seeds around necessarily. But I gather up, when they're seeding out, you go out there one plant every day and pull off, oh, I don't know, what's that look like, 10, 12, 15 little things, and then I'll just leave them laying around for a day, especially if I just leave a baggie open out there in the sun with a rock on it so it doesn't blow away, and they dry out really quick. So, but I finally figured that getting those seeds out of there ended up being a pretty cool thing to do. Because I would take a nice bowl like that and a nice fine sifter like that, and that's a little finer than a lot of those ones that most people have sitting around the kitchen. But anyway, that's about the size of a tobacco seed, and you see, if I remember right now, it worked out best with me just taking one or two seeds, busting them up and twisting them, busting, twisting and rubbing, and twisting and rubbing, and doing all that for. I'm busting it up with my fingernails and I'm kind of shredding it. I'll show you. You see that? Just kind of shredded them up with my fingernails. And then down in the bowl, I'm getting that kind of stuff. So, but that's not all seed. It looks like a bunch of powder in the bottom of there. That's seed and some of that plant material because I'm grinding it. I'm grinding it, rubbing it around and around. And I'll get enough seed out of there. I don't worry about that bit. I just dump it in the ashtray and grab another couple of pods. I don't know what I did in my pipe. I guess it's in my pocket or something. But you can feel those. They're just like grainy little things. In the center of the flower, it's almost like a little cone, like what's in a cone flower. But the seeds are all wrapped up all around that cone. I'm just kind of rubbing them off. But the thing about seed is funny, man. One plant will make. Well, geez, this is like the third time I've done this with a bunch of pods. And I've got this little bottle thing is, I guess, for perspective, I don't know, there's my finger, And it's about bigger around than a $50, maybe about almost big as a silver dollar. But anyway, I was looking at our Reddit and people were talking about seed and getting seed and what kind of seed and all that, and when I said something about growing and harvesting your own seed, and somebody had said, well, why do that if you can buy 100 seeds for $5? Okay, so wait a minute, let's think about that a minute. Why do that if you can buy 100 seeds for $5? Well, perhaps it could be that you could sell 100 seeds for $5, and you just wiped 2,000 of them off the end of your finger. So anyway, seed. There was a movie too. I saw that movie one time where this community was out of. It was out of money, or they were going to lose their land. Yeah, the whole community was going to lose their land to some oil baron or something like that. You know the story. And so this guy took off they all just dug into their piggy banks and tore apart their mattresses to get out their money. The whole community pitched in money for a bag of tobacco seed. Enough, and it was like everything. It was like a bag of tobacco seed was. Like in their you know, their money compared to ours, it would probably be like today's, you know, $500,000 or something. You all gotta, you know, try to come up with $500,000. Anyway, so they're all like selling their soul to get the money together. And this guy goes off, goes through this journey to go get the tobacco seed and bring it back. And they grew their tobacco plants. And then, and they were out there, you know, doing the little tiny seedling thing where those little almost microscopic sprouts are growing. And then, you know, taking care of the little seedling babies, and everybody's crawling around in the field, tending to these little tiny plants and protecting them from this and that. And then they grew their tobacco, and they ended up taking it to market. And it was like grade A. And he came back, you know, he took off with all these bundles, big bundles of tobacco that he was like traveling with, and then went to the auction and came back, and their stuff came out like top grade, and they anyway, it was a really cool story. I didn't think of that till just now. Once I got to really thinking about tobacco seed and the value of tobacco seed, and that they saved up all their money just to get a bag of it. But there's so much of it. I'll show you here. I'll scratch up this last one a little bit. And you know, I don't even worry about getting every last little bit, but you can kind of, you feel the center of the thing. If they're still real gritty, you know, just kind of smash them around. All right, now shake that stuff, grind it down a little bit. Then comes the fun part. And this is there you can see there's that roughage, you know, there after me grinding it down there with my fingers. And now this is, I only used some of those that were in that little 2-finger baggie. Some of you know what a 2-finger baggie is. And that's what's left, you know, still those. But I got this many seeds, but you know, a lot of that's going to be like powder. So I'm going to shake it all out onto the rolling tray here. You know, feel those seeds. Set that bowl aside. And those little seeds, they look like dust in the middle there. And when I do it this way, see if you can get a closer look. What's going to happen here if I can move things around. Okay, let me get this pile of stuff down here where you can see it better. Okay, I want you see them all running down the hill there. I always joked around and said, hey, that looks like a whole bunch of people running to the Who concert. You know, like, yeah, you know, all piling up on each other. Oh, that was cool. But anyway, yeah. So I can just, let them roll on down. Tap the thing, give it a little shake, a little vibration, let them roll on down. And that'll separate them out from all that little chaff. And I get my little funnel, my little bottle. Flip it up. I don't know how this visual's going because that little setup I had kind of fell over, but so there's what I generally would do is get all that chaff out of the way, gather that up, run it down my little funnel into my deal there, and so anyway, that's what I do, and it's that, you know, that one little bunch of pods. I don't know if you went about trying to count these things, it gets ridiculous because, you know, like this little bit right there is like 4, 6, 8, 10, 24, so you know, you get like 80 or 100 seeds, and they're saying, oh yeah, why grow it when you can get that many seeds for $5? It's like money. I think tobacco, I always say it's like money grows on trees, and tobacco's always been money.